My name is Badri Narayan and I am from Bengaluru in India. And I've been playing chess for the last 8 years on chess.com. Recently, I started sharing my journey with you all on YouTube, basically documenting my games and adding commentary on my games, specifically like why I made a particular move, why the opponent might have made a particular move, and so on. And in today's video, we have some cracker games. I call these as my clean wins. Basically, these are games where have played more than 25 to 30 moves and with an accuracy of more than 90%. Those are what I consider as clean games. And there's one with 13, but I really loved this game. That's why I wanted to show this as well. So let's just jump into the games. All these games happened last week. I've been trying to add this video for the last 2 to 3 days. And today I'm just going to upload them. So let's look at the first game. Meanwhile, let's go and hit the review button on all of this so that the review will be ready. Um, the first game was against someone rated 2035, and this game I played with 92% accuracy. And I'm playing as black here, and the opponent went for fried liver. And frankly, I don't think it's a good idea. Like beyond this level of 1900, I don't think fried liver is a good idea. In my opinion, fried liver is will work only until a rating of 1500 to 1600. Beyond that, you are either going to get a massive counter attack, or what's going to happen is that your attack will get blocked, and you would have overcommitted your two minor pieces. Like this bishop and this knight becomes overcommitted, and these three pieces stay in the starting position itself for a very long time, and it's not going to be quick development for you. That's my opinion. If you have success with fried liver, you can mention that. Either way, I myself went for the Traxler. So far, all of them have been book moves, and this position, White took the king back to G1, and King G1. The engine says that this is excellent, but if and actually King it says that K E3 is the best move, but frankly KG1 is the best move in my opinion. This takes the king back to the back run and behind the pawns. And that's why I feel that this move is only better. The next move is obviously QH4. We are immediately threatening to play checkmate. That's why even though the rook is available for free, white cannot capture that. Instead, white needs to guard this F2 square with this queen. However, white did that in the wrong way. That's my opinion. White in the fried liver versus Traxler, you need to keep this file free. Otherwise, this knight will get pinned. He wanted me to do it right away, but I did it one move later. The rook came to the F file and the knight got pinned now. Knight cannot move anywhere. And it's not just the knight. This knight cannot move anywhere. This bishop cannot move freely because it needs to guard this knight. This queen also needs to guard this knight. Otherwise, I'll just trade the rook for these two minor pieces. And we have the queen and two knights lined up against the king. And even this rook is also coming into the action very quickly. And this is what can happen with the tracks. And that's the reason why I mentioned that the fried liver is not a good idea beyond a certain rating. Um, anyway, he tried to chase away one of my knights. I used that to turn the tables against him. This is considered an inaccuracy, but I think that I'll play this move in this position all the time. He tried to gain a tempo there, and this is considered a graded move, QH5. And admittedly, it actually helped me out in future, which I will show you pretty soon. It ensured that I would get out of a tight spot. But there's nothing great about this move. I mean, this was the only move in this position for the queen. I suppose you could say queen could come here, but then once again, this pawn is going to come in. It's just not going to be, no other square is going to be safe for the queen here. So I don't see why this is a great move as such. Knight d6 plus, and obviously I'm going to take the exchange back. And once I do this, at this point, white has no choice but to give up the queen. The king is trapped between with his own pieces. Sorry, let me. Yep, king is trapped by his own pieces, and this knight to e2 is an unstoppable move. There is no way that can be stopped. I suppose you could make the argument that this knight can come in here, but then the queen is going to go off anyway. And if they don't do something, if they do a random move like this, then there's an m3 apparently. Is this the one? No, it's not the one. But I frankly don't care. I think, okay, so I guess I'm supposed to take the queen first. Like, I just wanted to mention that sacrificing the queen is now unavoidable for white. And that's the reason why Traxler is so powerful. It can push white into such terrible corners. And yeah, queen is going to go away. Queen is going to die soon. And white executed something that Gotham Chess calls as the Desperado. Like this queen is going to die anyway, so let's do maximum damage with it as much as possible that we can. If it was just in that same position, the queen would have been lost for the night. Instead, he's losing the queen for a rook, which is a bigger, which is a better trade for white. And even though we have a queen and the opponent doesn't have a queen, believe me, this game is far from over. There's still a lot of positionally strong advantage, strong tactics for white, and black needs to be on point to win this here. And one of the first things that white did, here white has a big decision to make. Does white want to give up this bishop or this rook? And positionally, even though materially the rook has higher points than the bishop, positionally this bishop is more valuable, and that is why white gave up the rook. Knight takes pawn, and knight takes rook. 6 points of material I just won for free, and now I'm at plus 8. But then again, the material advantage doesn't matter if your king is not safe. And right now, my king is not safe because of these two bishops. Sorry. Yeah, look at this. So many squares have been taken away by the king. And after this check, the king has only one square. And at this point, if this queen had not been at h5, I would have been in serious trouble. Bishop comes here, and king has to come back. And after the king comes back, once again, discover checks are set up, and it's not easy to deal with for white here. But thankfully, my queen was there, and if and he offered me up one more bait. If I had captured this pawn, let's look at it. Right now, the eval shows minus 3.3, which means black is 3.3 ahead. But if I take this pawn, look at that. From minus 3.3, it went all the way up to plus 2.3. That's a 6 point shift in eval. It's obvious, right? So this is the move which I actually played. But let's go back here. And suppose I did this. Bishop comes here and gives a check. And king has only one move. And then bishop goes to h4 and queen is captured for free. This is a very powerful sequence which I had to be careful about. Thankfully, I made the right move. I took the queen back to g6, and it's not like he can chase the queen away because this bishop would die, and then the game would continue. But at this point, I have weathered the storm. I have a plus 8 advantage, and black has no compensation for that minus 8 material disadvantage. Knight comes out. First thing I did was to chase this bishop away, and at this point, it was hopeless for black. Oh, bishop once again went one more step, which he could have done directly, but he didn't do that. And at this point, he threatened a fort here. Knight jumps to c7, fork to the king, and the rook is picked up for free. But I didn't even care. I didn't even try to stop that. I knew that I had a more powerful attack with my queen on the king side. He took his bishop back, and then knight comes to f3. And at this point, white has two choices. Rook captures knight, and queen recaptures the rook, which means that plus 9 becomes plus 11. Already the situation is hopeless, and it's only made even worse for white. Or go back the king, and lose the game in just one move. And that's what happened in the game. I was really happy uh, f- that I was able to win this game. Like, I mean, as you know, I am very fond of Traxler. I am someone who always goes for Traxler in this situation. But this position was a little bit unfamiliar for me, and I'm glad that I was able to. Sorry, let's keep it clear. This position with all these things was a little unfamiliar for me, but managed to find the right moves and win the game. And that was why I wanted to show this game. Let's look at the second game, and this one was even better. As you can see, this game had 10, 20, 21, 26, 30, 31 moves, and I played with an accuracy of 95%. You are not able to. Okay, I was able to play with an accuracy of 95%, and that was uh, even that took even me by surprise. I knew I had played very well in this game, but I didn't still expect 95. Let's look at it. And I am playing white, so you know what's the opening I'm going to use. It's the Catalan, of course. And by this time, I am very comfortable when they accept this gambit. If they accept this gambit, I know exactly what to do in the next set of moves. But in this game, they did not accept, and I was mentally preparing myself to try to play in that close position. But thankfully, in the very next move, the opponent finally took the gambit. And frankly, this was really bad mistake in my opinion. If you want to take this straight away. Capturing this c4 pawn in this position is actually quite bad. First of all, you have given up your dark square bishop for the knight, which means that it's already a little bit bad for you. And on top of that, by capturing this c4 pawn now, black is giving away a lot of advantage to it. I mean, straight up you can see it. I had a double pawn, but after this capture, black has the double pawn. But not just that, you can't even hold on to this plus one advantage here simply because of nd2. After nd2, either this pawn is going to die or this pawn is going to die. One of these pawns is definitely going to die, which means that your plus one advantage also doesn't exist. And that's the reason why I didn't like the fact that black captured it there. I knew that it was a mistake. Black obviously gave up the c4 pawn so that they could keep these three pawns hold these pawns for the later push. I captured on c4, and at this point, black made a huge blunder. As you can see, the eval jumped from plus 1.5 to a massive plus 4.6, which is a winning advantage for black. But it is not apparent immediately. The obvious move is this, right? Bishop f4. You are developing a minor piece with the tempo on the queen, which is always a good idea. But unfortunately, here the blunder has caused some serious problems here. First of all, you need to protect this queen. And how do you protect this queen? You need to push it away or you need to block the diagonal. Let's look at queen going away first. Queen has only two squares to go away, and both of them have serious disadvantages. If queen goes here, knight jumps to d6, and then there's a check to the king and also a fork to the bishop. That means I'm going to win that bishop for free. Not only that, after capturing, it has a pathway to come back very easily. This is the true power of this attack. Yes. So that plus three advantage cannot even taken back. That's the reason why q d8 is not a good move. Now let's say black goes q c. Oh, sorry, not that. Q c8. This is an even bigger blunder because now when the knight jumps to d6, it is it has actually given a royal fork and capture the queen itself. So queen moving is now out of the question. You need to block the diagonal. Who can block the diagonal? This knight or this pawn. Obviously, the knight cannot come to e5 because the pawn will just simply capture it. So black went with e5, pawn e5. How long did it take? It took just 16 seconds here. Okay. And it looks as if black has weathered the storm. It looks like black just lost a pawn here and nothing more, right? But unfortunately, even that is not true. Now this pawn is attacking that knight. Knight moves out of the way. But then after e6, black has way too many threats. White can go here and give a check. White can go and give here and give a check. White can capture the queen. White, this is still there, and there is no way that black can hold on to their material here. The only good move for black is knight to into f. Knight captures the bishop. At this point, if I had directly captured the knight, it would have been a. I would have just taken the piece back, and in fact, black would have been +1. Sorry, we would have been just +1 ahead here in that case. But we made an intermediate move. Pawn takes knight with check, and after the king moves, we take the other knight, and at this point, we have a +4 winning advantage here. This is simply unrecoverable for black, and black definitely took that pawn, but it doesn't matter. We have +3 ahead. Knight jumps to d6, which it was threatening to do for a long time. Bishop comes to, what is that, a6, and now I got one more pawn. Once again, I'm at a +4, and rook needs to move away. And at this point, after c4, white was firmly in the winning seat. There was just no hope for black. First of all, the material advantage is +4. That itself is a huge advantage. But if you look at it, this bishop has completely been cut out of the game. They can't come here, they can't come here, they can't come here. As a result, I'm actually +7 with material itself. Uh, Black tried to bring the queen there. And as you all know, once I have the material advantage, the first thing I do is to start simplifying. I started the simplification process by offering a queen trade. Obviously, black did not accept the queen trade, but I just kept getting all my pieces lined up against the king. And at this point, I made a mistake. Bishop b5 is termed as excellent, but in reality, in my opinion, it's just a mistake. As I had mentioned earlier, this bishop was completely cut off from the game. Why am I sorry? Right? But now I am giving it an escape square. The idea is that now when bishop trades for the bishop, I'm actually giving away a very powerful piece of mine for a worthless piece from black. And that was a mistake I made in this game, and I didn't like that. Well, later when I thought about it, I didn't like that move. That's what I wanted to show here. After queen, knight gives check. At this point, I knew that I had to start with my simplification. And boom, pawn promotes to a queen. Both rooks die. Both rooks are dead. He tried to delay the inevitable by giving a check, but it's already M10. The reality is it's M10 only if black keeps sacrificing their pieces. In reality, it's just an M2 here. After this pawn pushes, black is supposed to delay the inevitable by sacrificing the queen and doing some things. But black did the human move, which is to just capture a pawn. Queen QC7 check, and after king moves to a6, QA6 is made, and that's it. And when I was going to check the review, I knew I had done well, but really I was pleasantly surprised when my accuracy was 95%. Let's look at the third game. Once again, this is a 2, 8, 10, 11, 16, 18, 20 move game with an accuracy of 91, nearly 91%. And that's why I wanted to show this to you. Let's just go ahead. Okay, so this is termed as a Scotch game, but in my opinion, this is just a delayed Danish. In the Danish, white gives up the D pawn and C pawn and also the B pawn straight away. Here they started out with the Scotch by bringing the knight here and then started giving up these pawns. And in this case, I captured the C pawn as well. But I knew that I was not going to capture the B pawn no matter what happens. And that's why I left my left this pawn which already captured 2 pawns. I just left it to die there. I didn't want to capture one more pawn and get his bishop also into a very powerful diagonal, and that's why I left it there. Knight captured the pawn. I started developing. It's considered as an inaccuracy, and white seems to have a point 0.8 advantage here, but I'm not sure. I don't see the advantage in this right now. NG5 is a mistake. It's a mistake because I mean it looks scary, right? Like now the f7 pawn has three attackers. Like let's go back. F7 pawn now has three attackers, but the third defender is right here. And this is something that Gotham Chess calls as in one move attack. Um, he also advises against such moves where it looks like a very powerful move, but in reality the move can be countered with just a single move, en d5. He castled, and I knew that castling was a mistake. 0 minus 0 is good. It's calling as a good move, but in reality, as the engine points, they should have safeguarded this light square bishop, because as of now, this light square bishop is the strongest piece in the white arsenal. It's putting a lot of pressure on this pawn, and it has a lot of good moves from here on. And that is why I didn't even think I just traded it. I don't even care that it's an inaccuracy. I would do that 10 times out of 10. Queen captures back, and I push the g5 knight away. And at this point, uh, once this g5 knight moved back, white has no compensation for its lost pawn. You remember initially we captured two pawns, and then white captured that pawn back, which gave us a +1 advantage. And white right now has no compensation for that lost pawn, and that was what I was aiming for. Uh, we bishop develops, and this looks like a um, what can I say this? This looks as though whatever previous move we did by bringing the bishop here was quite wrong, because now the queen is threatening a lot of things. But look at this move. It's considered as a great move. I mean, it looks like a very obvious move, but the reality is this is a superb move. It's a multi-purpose move. Firstly, it's blocking the check. Secondly, it's putting a counter attack on the bishop. And thirdly, it enables this queen to discover defend this pawn. I am just throwing words out there right now. Okay. And because this pawn moved, this queen is now able to protect this pawn, which means all of white's attack is gone. And at this point, I wanted to castle, and I blocked the I blocked this diagonal with this pawn. And in the next move, I expected him to come here. Let's see what's the best move. Okay. I expected him to come with the rook. Instead, they bought the bishop e3, castle, and I'm threatening a checkmate attack there, and he missed it. So this idea was good. First, get the rook out here, and then this knight, when it captures this queen, I mean, when it captures this pawn, it's doing so many things here. Firstly, it's threatening the king. Pawn cannot capture the knight because again the rook will capture the queen. Knight is not just threatening this queen; it's also threatening this bishop. And no matter where the queen moves, this bishop is captured, and it's a double check on that king. All of these ideas were good. The only problem was this: he should have safeguarded that and then tried to execute this. But then, whatever move he uses to safeguard this long diagonal, I would have just moved the queen away from that critical position, which means the tactic wouldn't have been available. But yeah, I really played with this game with a high accuracy, and this one bungle gave the game instantly to me. That's what I wanted to show about this game. The last one is a very short game, thankfully, because the video is already 24 minutes up. And look at this, 100% accuracy. Uh, Not a big deal, but mostly the reason why I wanted to show this was like it went into some uncharted territory, and I was able to manage that correctly, and that was why I wanted to show this game. Let's start the review. As usual, we are going for the Catalan. Um, Yeah, so like I said, I'm very comfortable when black actually captures that pawn. And if you look at this game, after black captured, I wasted one more move bringing this bishop here because I was in no hurry to threaten this pawn. And here, black made a massive blunder. Knight to c6. There's simply no excuse for this. This is just a basic counting mistake. The c6 square, I have two attackers to that, and he has two defenders. But if you bring one of those defenders to the c6 square, you now have only one defender. So not only is this knight going to die, but also there's a check and an attack on the rook. It was brutal. It's just plain brutal. However, on a practical level, black has some compensation here. What is the compensation? Is the fact that white cannot castle this side. The C file is heavily weakened, and and it's not going to be easy to defend the king against so much open space, right? So you obviously have to castle on the queen side, sorry, king side, and in the king side, all the light squares are weakened, and we don't have the light square bishop to defend that either. And in this way, this is not really a completely winning advantage for black. That is why for white, sorry. That is why even the eval is showing just a plus 1.9. Plus 1.9 definitely means that white has an advantage here. But this is a little bit scary. And I did post this question on Reddit forums and I got the answer. White is still at an advantage, but you do need to be mindful of these light squares. And if you ever get into this position, remember this. At some point, if black tries to get some advantage on this diagonal, you need to be prepared to give up the advantage. Let's do this. If black tries to gain an advantage on this diagonal with the two powerful long range pieces, namely the bishop and the queen, you need to be prepared to give up the rook for the bishop. Right now we have plus 2 advantage and it's plus 2 only because we have captured a rook for a bishop. But if the worst comes to the worst, you can give up that advantage and you can still be ahead in the game. Thankfully, none of that happened in this game. I was able to win the game very shortly after this. But I just wanted to put that out there, and that was the reason why I wanted to show this game, even though it's a shorter game. I did casual. At that point, I didn't know what else to do. And another idea here, um, what do I call it? Another concept here is f3 is unavoidable. It looks quite bad that I mean, we have castled our king this side, and this looks like a very bad pawn structure at the castled area. But this is the only way to get some good advantages in this game. In this case, Q d5 was a mistake. Um, they've already lost a lot of material over there, losing the rook and the pawn for a bishop. And now, boom, e5 threatens the queen. And no matter where the queen moves, e e5, and black is going to lose further more material. And at this point, black just resigned. So those were the four games which I wanted to show. All of those games are rapid games, and I played that with a very high accuracy. Let me know how you like these games in the comments. And of course, more importantly, let me know what you didn't like about these games. Thank you.